All right, let's talk about something that sounds like it's straight out of a movie, but is actually becoming a very real possibility. Picture this. It's November 2nd, 2025, and out of nowhere, the sun just blasts a massive solar storm right at us. The effects? Well, they're immediate, and they are huge.
I mean, really think about that. It's a question we almost never have to ask ourselves. But what does happen when that invisible shield around our planet, our magnetic field, gets hammered by a burst of energy from our own star? Turns out the very backbone of our modern world could just start to break.
So, let's get into it. The immediate aftermath. What would the first few hours of a global tech meltdown actually feel like?
Yeah, this wouldn't be a slow burn. We're talking about a colossal blast of energy and charged particles from the sun slamming into Earth's magnetic field at millions of miles an hour. And for our super-connected, always-on world, we'd feel those shockwaves almost instantly.
Three things we totally take for granted would be the first to go haywire. GPS, the thing that tells us where we are, suddenly it's not reliable. Aviation navigation, which keeps our planes safely in the sky, compromised. And high-frequency radio, letting us talk across oceans, poof, it's gone. All of them just completely under siege.
And the scale of this might surprise you. This isn't some localized problem. We're talking major air routes over the U.S. Midwest and Northeast thrown into chaos. And just imagine, flights crossing the Atlantic, one of the busiest airspaces in the world, suddenly flying blind, losing reliable navigation and communication. This would be a genuinely global disruption.
And get this, in the middle of all this technological chaos, there's this weirdly beautiful side effect. Those same charged particles that are wrecking our systems would also create these incredible auroras, visible way farther south than normal. I mean, imagine seeing the northern lights from the UK. It's beautiful for sure, but also a pretty ominous reminder of the raw power we're up against.
So that's the what. Now let's get to the why. What in the world would cause all of this? To figure that out, we have to look about 93 million miles away, straight at the surface of our sun.
The culprit is something we call a solar flare. Just think of it like a gigantic explosion on the sun, one that unleashes this torrent of energy and particles that races through space at over 1 million miles an hour. And when Earth happens to be in the firing line, well, our planet's magnetic field takes the full force of the hit.
And we're not talking about just any flare. Scientists actually have a scale for these things. In X-class flares, that's the biggest, most intense category they've got. This storm would be from a flare that clocked in at X 2.7, making it one of the most powerful solar storms of the entire year. It's a monster.
The trip from the sun to Earth is brutally simple, and it happens shockingly fast. First, you get that violent eruption on the sun's surface. Then, this wave of energy just hurtles through the solar system. The light and radiation, that gets here in about 8 minutes. The charged particles take a couple of days, and when they finally arrive, they just collide with our atmosphere and totally warp our magnetic field.
Now, you can bet an event this big wouldn't go unnoticed. The world's top space and atmospheric agencies would be on high alert, and trust me, their warnings would be anything but routine.
NASA would be on the record, basically saying the initial problems are just the beginning. They'd be raising the alarm about massive blackouts, because that surge of energy can literally fry our power grids. And they'd also warn us that the sun probably wasn't finished yet.
And it wouldn't just be NASA. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, that's NOAA, they'd be shouting the same warnings. They would put out a specific alert to airlines and shipping companies, and their message would be crystal clear. Get ready for your most basic tools, the ones that tell you where you are and let you talk to people, to just fail, without any warning.
So here's a really important piece of the puzzle. An event like this isn't some kind of random freak accident. It's actually part of a predictable, and right now, a very volatile cosmic pattern.
And that's the key question, isn't it? Was this a once-in-a-century storm, a total fluke, or was it a sign of what's to come? Well, the science gives us a pretty clear and honestly kind of worrying answer.
You see, the sun actually has a pulse. It operates on this cycle that goes from quiet to chaotic and back again over about 11 years. And the big deal is we are right at the peak of that cycle right now. It's called the solar maximum, and it's basically when the sun is at its most active and unpredictable.
And that's not just a theory. To give you an idea of what that volatility looks like, right now, scientists are watching 5 different active sunspot regions on the sun. You can think of each one of those like a loaded cannon, capable of firing another major flare right at Earth at any time.
So yeah, the danger isn't over. Not by a long shot. In fact, it's an ongoing risk. The safety of global air travel, the reliability of critical military communications, the operations of thousands of satellites we rely on for everything from weather forecasts to watching TV, all of it is vulnerable.
When you look at it all, this whole scenario feels less like some far-off disaster and more like a final warning shot. It's a stark reminder of just how fragile our technology is when faced with the power of the cosmos. The storm we just walked through, it wasn't the absolute worst-case scenario, but it proves that the worst case could happen. Which leaves us with the biggest question of all. Are we actually prepared for the next one?